But I would say that he's in the ballpark, and he's ready to start making the steps to where he needs to be. Popular, charismatic,
Here we go.
fun. Are the people going to pay on time? What if they can't pay on time? And it becomes very hard for a rider, because then you start doubting yourself. If someone went there with a bulldozer and took the top off it, I think it would be the best place in the world.
Well, you can see by the look on our faces that we've already had a good laugh before we even turn the cameras on for this one. I'm delighted to say Lee Hardy Racing's own Lee Hardy himself. Lee, welcome back to the show, mate. How are you?
I'm very good, Dave. Very good, thank you.
Pleasure to see you again, mate. It was the NEC last time we had a chat. You just signed Brad Perie and ahead of the 2023 season and back in the British Superbike Championship. How's the season been so far?
Yeah, it's been kind of probably what I expected. You know, we had that conversation at the NEC, and to be fair, it's a long while ago now. My memory's not great, so I probably can't remember exactly what I said to you. But
you said you were going to win the championship and that Brad was going to be top 5 every weekend, and you had the fastest bike on the grid, is what you said.
I'd say we've got the fastest bike on the grid. The other two we just haven't quite accomplished this year. But no, for what we set out at the start of the season, obviously, I never sat down with Brad and really sort of discussed what my thoughts were and what my expectations were, and I suppose the team and sponsors' expectations. But when you're starting a quest, a challenge like this with a new rider that's come from a championship where he was very effective, is probably what I would say. You know, fastest laps, pole positions, race wins. And then to almost start your career again on a British Superbike is always a challenge, personally. So as a team, you have to be acceptant of that. You have to understand how it needs to progress. You know, it's great. We all want to win races. We all want to be at the front, but you have to understand that it's not always achievable straight out of the box. You know, it needs to take time. And riders need to adapt. Riders need to understand personnel, new team, new people, new senses of humour, you know, new ways of getting things across. So, you know, it's not easy for a rider to step into a new challenge and just straight away take the helm. You know, it's very special if there is that type of rider out there. And today, even with the people that we've had in the past, I haven't seen that. You know, you look at, touch on probably, and I do talk about it a lot because it's our best ever season, but you look at like where Jake Dixon started with us, and albeit he shone massively in 2018, it still took time to get there. And it's the same with Brad. So in terms of how our season has progressed is probably the word that I would use. Very happy. There was a point in the year when I did think it's maybe not where I expected it to be, but with a little bit of change from my side and how I approach things with Brad on a weekend and how we went about a weekend, and I think probably the biggest change for me, and I don't know if Brad would say the same, but I think the biggest change for me was how we set up the weekend, how we started our track walk, how we engaged a little bit different on the track walk. And it wasn't necessarily a full-blown notes out, this is what we need to do, this is where we need to be, this is what gear we need to be in. It was more of a casual track walk and a bit of a chat, and, you know, just understanding Brad more, Brad understanding me more, and then obviously going into my position a bit more on a Friday of going out spotting, trying to help him as much as I can. You know, not by any stretch of the imagination was I ever the fastest rider on a motorcycle. I wasn't. I was very critical of how I rode and how other people ride. And when you're out there spotting, it's very easy when your rider's not doing the same as everyone else or doing something different. It's very easy to pick up on. And also knowing from the past of what we've done, you know, gearing patterns we run and stuff like that, and just understanding, you know, how Brad's approaching a weekend. And I think that has been a big help. So for me, obviously, turning point was Thruxton. And I spoke with Brad at Thruxton, and I said to him, look, you know, for some reason Thruxton always throws up anomalies. For novices there, it's the point where you can make a name for yourself in the year. And it's one of those rounds where I said to him, I said, don't miss the boat. You will, without sounding horrible, you will overachieve here. You will. The Kawasaki works well here. It looks after its tyre well. This is a round where you will see good results. So, just don't expect it, but just work into it over the weekend. And rightfully so. He was fast. Got himself up to speed. Fast through qualifying. He did all the right things, and we had some good results. But I think more than anything for Brad, that was good for his head. It was good for him to understand I can ride a superbike, and I've just finished in front of 2 Ducatis, but I've also had a race with those as well. So for him, I think it was a big turning point in Bradley Perie himself. And also, it was good for the team, and it brought another level to the team with how he approached going forward from there. And we went obviously from Thruxton to Cadwell, and we'd spoke a lot. I said to him, look, we're going from the widest track on the calendar and the fastest to the narrowest. You need to be careful. We have got a Friday test day. And we did a track walk on the Thursday. We walked around, and he'd already briefed me on Cadwell before we got there. And to be fair, he's won there, but he's not a big lover of Cadwell Park. And he said to me, he said from the bottom of the mountain, he said, like through the woodland section, he said, and the mountain, I hate it. He said, scares the life out of me. Don't like it. Didn't like it on the 600. I don't know what I'm going to do on the superbike. And in all fairness, from when I raced there, feelings mutual. If someone went there with a bulldozer and took the top off it, I think it would be the best place in the world. And I've never ridden motocross. I'm not used to being off the ground on 2 wheels. So for me, didn't like it. Similar for Brad. So I knew where he was coming from. I knew the feeling that he had. So, we did a track walk, casual, you've got the Friday, just build into it. And again, his approach at Cadwell was very good. The Friday test helped a lot, but his pace was good as well. So throughout the test, we finished in a good place. We had a good motorcycle to go forward for the following day. And he just worked on that all weekend, and it just progressed all weekend. We had 3 solid races. And like I said to him there, I said, forget the result in terms of position. There were a few people off and bits and pieces like that, a few technicals, but like I said to him, you've still got to finish to be in them places. So you warrant and deserve where you finished this weekend. Closer to the leaders, lap times are better. You deserve where you finished. And for me, going forward from there, from Thruxton, he backed it up at Cadwell with a circuit he didn't really like. And again, the confidence was rolling. Alton Park last weekend, again, really strong weekend. We went back to a circuit we'd already been to, which was good. We went faster, which was even better. Results were good. And obviously coming back now to Donington Park for this weekend, again, a circuit we've already been to. So for me, in terms of progression of the season, very happy. Are all the sponsors happy? Don't know. They don't always give you their full impression of what you've done and what they think you can do. It's very easy to probably feel that Brad's underachieved because of where he's come from and the results he's had. And I think a few people do probably think that. And I think it's very easy to have that approach. But when you show the appreciation of what you're up against in this class, then you start to understand that actually he's doing a very, very good job. And touch wood, we've been upright enough. So for here going forward, for me, I want Brad to have another good Donington Park, build into it like we have done for the last few rounds. And can we crack the top 10 this weekend? I want to. That's something, we've been talking about. It's an achievement, again, another step, another milestone for Brad. And I think we're very close. We're knocking on the door, and hopefully we have some good weather here and some good track time. I think we could see another step again from him as well.
In terms of sponsors, as you said, and managing expectation on a rookie rider, everybody learns at a different pace. And some learn quicker than others. Some like to ease their way into it a bit more. We have, 33 races across a season. And it's never going to be where they're going to drop into the top 10 and the top 5 straight away. Such is the level of competition in BSB now.
Yeah.
We've said this, the ladies and gentlemen watching and listening, I've been banging this drum for the last few episodes of how competitive the Bennett's British Superbike Championship is. So it doesn't matter what you achieved in Supersport, what you achieve now in the British Superbike Championship and how you learn incrementally is far more important, as well as keeping it upright. There are going to be whoopsies because, unfortunately, it's the only way you learn. And with no real testing time, apart from the start of the season, there's no mid-season testing. You're still testing in FP1 and FP2 to a point.
Yes.
So to see the progression of Brad and the other rookies, but Brad particularly, because this is what we're talking about, has been so good to see. And the last few rounds where he's had consistent points, consistent finishes, I think now if we asked him, do you now feel like a Superbike rider? What do you think he would say?
I'd like to think he'd say yes. Brad is one of them people...
Is there a bus coming?
Brad is one of them people that he'll always give you an honest answer. And
Yes, he will.
I do feel that he doesn't probably... It would be wrong to say understand the level he's at, but I feel he's a Superbike rider. I feel he's now made that transition. I wouldn't say he's the finished Superbike rider.
No, that's different.
But I would say that he's in the ballpark and he's ready to start making the steps to where he needs to be. And, you know, I signed Brad on a 2-year deal because I didn't think he was going to be the type of rider that was going to come in and, you know, and set the world alight straight away. And that's just purely down to a little bit of his persona and his character. He is a little bit of a slow burner. We are working on and have eradicated, I probably would say, a few of his little quirks. You know, we track walked yesterday and we laughed and joked because straight away, turn one's a common one. I can see it from the pit wall. I do the pit signal for him. And it's one of those corners that he always likes to turn in early for it, always. And it's safety net, you know, and that's what happens. I drilled him on it last time we was here. We did the track walk yesterday, and we come out of the final corner, and he started heading towards the pit lane. I said, we're going to turn 1. And we walked all the way down to turn 1 for the second time, and we spoke about it, we talked about it, and he knows about it. And it's like I say, there's a lot to come to become the polished Superbike rider, and to be the best on the grid. And I don't think you'll ever be the best on the grid, which is why the championship is as good as it is, and we have so many different people at the front. And I'd like to think he does say that he is a Superbike rider, and that's something I'll be listening for after the podcast you do with him later.
I'm not going to preempt him for that one. I'll ask him the question outright. I'm not going to speak to him off camera or just give him a little bit of a heads up. I mean, you've got a great track record of developing riders. Jake Dixon had a lot of success with you. Ryan Vickers developed as a Superbike rider. Yes, there were times when he was quick, times when he wasn't so quick, which was a difficult time in places. But again, developing him as a Superbike rider. When you get Brad to the point he is now, or that you believe that he's at now and you feel that he is now, this is when the work begins. He's not a Supersport rider anymore. Now's the time to learn to be a Superbike rider. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I would say. And obviously just touching on what you said there with, you know, with Jake and with Ryan, I think in a way, probably you worded it very, very sort of political there. Ryan was always fast, but there was just sometimes he didn't finish. But he was always fast, and he did come out of the traps very fast straight away. And, you know, full respect to him, what he's doing now. You know, I went down straight away to the podium when he had his first podium, and he deserves that. You know, he's been through a lot. He had challenges, you know, and I feel with Ryan there'll always be challenges, but he's now started to click with the bike, and he's working really well, and he's riding well. And obviously when I'm out watching on a Friday, I still watch him, and I like watching him because he's got that style that just always adds something to it when you're out there watching. So, you know, I feel that he's deserving of where he is, and I feel he'll just keep progressing. It's taken 5 years, yes, to get there, but if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. You know, everyone always thinks that it's going to happen a lot quicker than that, but at the end of the day, it's a hard field that you're against. And likewise with Brad, you know, when you look back and you have to compare the rider, and all as you can do really is compare previous riders with your machinery. And you look back at what Brad's done this year, and believe it or not, Brad's actually been faster than Ryan was at a lot of places in the first year, quite considerably as well. So you look at where Ryan is now, and you look at what Ryan achieved on our bike, but different. So for me, I understand things move forward. The bike is probably now in a better place than it was when Ryan rode it. And everything else improves, tyres improve, suspension improves, but you've still got to be able to ride the motorcycle. So for Brad to do the lap times that he's doing, I'm impressed with. Yes, then the results might not show at the end of the race the same, but the lap times are still good. So when you compare that, you look at that and you think, right, okay, well, 5 years down the line, Ryan's competing podiums and this, that, and the other, potentially could have been there earlier. So you look at like where Brad is and you try and sort of offset that, and you think, well, he's on the right path, and he is on the right path. It just depends, like the second year after winter, how he's digested what he's done this year, how he comes back from that. Obviously, there's a very different setup for next year with no testing and so forth. So he will be in a good position going back with a motorbike that he's ridden for a year, he understands. And if we keep that the same and keep that continuity, then the step next year could be a bigger step than potentially what we expect. So for me, like I say, he's definitely on the right path to that. So I'm looking forward to the progression again, and monitoring and seeing where we go with the next level as such.
One thing that, and a lot of our listeners and viewers are really educated. They understand racing really well, which I'm quite grateful for. A win isn't necessarily always crossing the line first. So the wins that you've had this year within the team are what have made the season so far what it is. And I think, as you said, I think it's been, when you look back, when we get to Brands in a couple of weeks' time and you drive in home to Norfolk on the Monday or the Tuesday, whenever you get away, or the Sunday night.
Work Monday, Dave.
Even back at work on Monday. I forgot about that. You have things to do. So when you're driving back on the Sunday night and you're reflecting on the season, I've got a pretty positive feeling that you'll look back, and from a team perspective and the development of the rider, that it's been a successful season.
Yeah, I will. Like I say, if the last 2 rounds finish how we have done the last 3 rounds, then yes, it'll be a successful season. And driving home from a race meeting when you've had a good weekend, and like you say, the wins that we have might not be trophies, but the wins in terms of getting closer to the leader, the lap times that we achieve, being in the points regularly now, making Q2, they're all the wins. And they're all the things that probably at round 3, Brad thought, Jesus, this is a long way away. What have I done? And it's like I said to him, Donington Park was instrumental when we spoke at the start of the year. And I said to him at the start of the year, this challenge this year for you is not about riding. 95% of your challenge this year is going to be mentally in your head. And it's going to be what you expect of yourself and what you can deliver. And I said, what other people expect? And we had a little bit of a laugh and a joke. And I said to him, I said, you'll go back from here, you'll go back to work, you'll meet the lads, you'll meet the mates, and it'll be like, you gone to the weekend, Brad, oh yeah, I did all right, yeah, I was 23rd. And I said, they'll be like, all right, okay, yeah, good, well done. Next week they'll ask you. I said, by week 3, and you're still probably knocking on top 19, they'll forget that you're even racing. I said, but last year when you was coming back with trophies and I won the race, fastest lap, pole, everyone wants to be your friend, everyone wants to talk about racing. But suddenly everyone soon forgets how good you are and how good you have been and how good you will be in the future. And it becomes very hard for a rider, because then you start doubting yourself. When people stop talking to you about it and patting you on the back and telling you how good you are, you start doubting yourself. And I said that, 95% of the job will be mentally. You need to be mentally strong. You need to be prepared for not being in Q2, not seeing the results that you think you want to get and what you should get. And then when they do come, that's when you grasp it. That's when you hold on to it. And that's when you drive forward from there. And I think that's kind of what Brad's done as well, and he hasn't over-expected, which has been great. because maybe that was something that we did have with Ryan. You know, Ryan had the expectation of, I want to be there and I will be there. And fantastic. You need that spirit in a rider. You need that drive, but you also need to be quite calculated in your approach as well. Even more so now with how close the field is and how tight it is. You need to, what should I say? You need to have expectations sometimes of being beaten. And if you can accept that, then I feel it makes you a better rider in the long run than what it does not being able to accept that. And that's whether you're in 15th, 20th or P1, P2. The championship that we have, you don't need to win every race. So you need to understand that sometimes you have to be gracious in defeat, and it's better to be gracious and praise the team and go forward to the next race or the next meeting. And that, I feel, makes you a better rider than necessarily coming back and throwing your toys out of the cot and it weren't this and it weren't that and blah, 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 because then it just creates a negative approach to the following round and you don't always get the best from people. So I feel like, I say, our season's been good, and I think driving away from brands, reflection will be we've had a good year, enjoyable year. I've enjoyed working with Brad. You know, he's quirky, don't get me wrong, he's hard to understand at times. His sense of humour is very different. I think, as we see from his little quirk at Cadwell Park while he was on camera, but that's Bradley Perie. And I suppose in a way, probably what attracted to me him in the first place. You know, when you see him doing some of his interviews from the Supersport days, again, very different. And being a different character is good. And I think at the moment, you're not really seeing the true, not true, that'd be the wrong word to say, you're not really seeing the real Bradley Perie, because he's not in the limelight, he's not in at the front, you know, but when he is and that character starts to come out, I think a lot of people will grow to him and build to him. And it has been hard this year. I can imagine it's been hard from Brad as well. You know, he's gone from having a camera under his nose every weekend, in all honesty, to people kind of forgetting about him. And in a way, I don't mind that, because he's not under pressure. He's not in the limelight. I don't know if I'm speaking out of context here, but you look at Max Cook at Thruxton. Again, like I said to Brad, you know, novices will always make a step here. Max did make a step. He made a big step, but then everyone decided, let's jump on the Max Cook bandwagon because of Cadwell Park, he's going to do amazing. Unfortunately, he didn't. And, you know, it ended sadly for him, where I would have rather seen him do the whole meeting with less pressure and seen what he really could have delivered, you know. But that's the thing with Brad. He hasn't really been in the limelight, which is great, because it hasn't added pressure to him. All he's had to think about is turning up here on a race weekend, fit, with his food, with his supplements, with his riding gear, and go and ride the bike and have fun. And that's what his kind of approach has been. So as much as it is serious, as much as you want to deliver the best you can for sponsors, for friends, family, everyone involved, and we are, don't think we're coming racing and not trying our hardest, but it's under more of a relaxed environment than it is a pressure environment. And I feel that's kind of helped Brad deliver as well, or progress, should I say. So yeah, we're happy. I'm happy with him. I hope he's happy with the team and with us. And like I say, I think from what he's done in terms of success is good.
When you spoke just a few minutes ago, you said there's no testing next year.
Change a little bit to the calendar in terms of like we had this year with the Spanish testing. That's going to change slightly, and there won't be any Spanish testing, which in a way I agree with. A lot of it's been voted in by the teams, to be fair. It's something that Stuart spoke about with all of the team managers and rightful parts of the group, and yeah, it's something that we've all agreed on. It's a cost saving at the end of the day. Does the Spanish testing help, you know, with what we do here? I don't think it does really. I think it's great to get on the bike and understand a little bit more about your team and everything else and what you've got to work with. But when you roll out at round one and it's cold and it's wet and it's not what you've just had in Navarra, or, Andalusia or Cartagena, it can be a little bit of a false economy. So for me, I think it's a good way of saving budget, because everyone goes away, everyone spends a lot of money on travel, flights, hotels, tires. There's a lot of costs that are hidden that people don't see. And like the testing this year, we did Andalusia, we did Navarra, and in all honesty, when you come back from that, even with us, with a one rider, you've spent a lot of money. You've probably done the best part of 20 grand in testing, and that's doing it at a sensible level. You can spend as much as you want.
Yeah.
And when you get back here, and then you look at your budget for the year, and you think, why would I spend 20 grand riding around in Spain? Why have I done that? So you've got to be tight with your budgets, and even more so now with the way the world is, it's changing a lot. So you need to be sensible. I think it's the right thing to do. So like I say, that will be a big step, I think, and a big change for next year.
Are we still doing the official BSB test days?
Yes, there will be.
There'll still be here in Silverstone or wherever they might be.
Here, I think there'll be Alton. Did we do Snet last year?
Yeah,
we did do Snet.
There was a 3-day one at Snetterton, isn't there?
Okay. There's not been anything as in finalised on that yet, but I'm sure MSVR will be doing the same.
There needs to be something, I think,
yeah.
in terms of safety and new riders and new teams and things like that.
I'm sure there will be, yeah.
Talking about sponsorship and expectation, how difficult is it to run an independent superbike team in the British Superbike Championship in 2023?
Very difficult. In terms of finding sponsors, maintaining sponsors, keeping that all together to bring a financial package for what you need to run the superbike effectively, take out of it crash damage and everything else, very tight. Are we still on the back of what happened with COVID? I don't know. Everything's changing. Interest rates are changing all the time. It's hard. And yes, there is still money out there to attract, but it's harder to attract that money at the moment. It seems to be the hardest time in the 10, 11 years that I've been doing this. This seems to be the hardest time to be trying to find new sponsors, probably, should I say. And that's always the big thing, looking outside of the box of what goes on here. There are teams within this paddock who probably feel it's easier to take a sponsor from someone else and offer them the world, and we can do this and we can do that, and we can give you 15 places hospitality at every round. But that shouldn't happen, but it does happen, and it's happened with a few of ours. People probably might look at that and go, well, hang on a minute, aren't you sponsored by Vision Track? You used to sponsor Paul Bird. Yes, we were and we are, and that's kind of come about from an amicable parting with the PBM team, and then obviously Vision Track going on to do the stuff with Moto3, and then came on very late with us last year with Leon Haslam to do something here. So yes, sponsors do move around, but it's always nice, like I say, to look outside the box, look at your own individual sponsors, of how I can actually bring new people in. What interest do we have here that will cross over? It's okay looking at real big blue chip companies, but if there's no crossover and there's no business to business to do here, then it's pointless trying to bring them in as a sponsor. Yes, you may bring them in for a year, but you probably won't retain them, because after the year they'll think, well, we've not actually got what we wanted from that. So it is hard. And it's something that's probably going to get harder. So for us going forward, you're always actively looking. I think the days of having one big sponsor to come in and say, right, there's your nice big rosy paycheck and off you go and do what you do, those days are kind of gone. It's more about bringing in partners and individual units and financial investment from different places to build enough of a budget to run the team. And that does make it quite hard, because obviously everyone wants to have the team name, and you don't want to upset people. You don't want people to feel devalued within the project. So it's hard to manage, and it's something that I wouldn't say I find hard to manage, but it's something for me that is hard to put together. You know, it's very easy to talk to people, but it's very hard always to get that deal over the line. And some people might find that easier to do. I find I'm not a salesman, so it's quite hard to know when to close the deal. And sometimes you don't close it, and you think, I'll give that a few more days, and then potentially you've lost it. So it is hard. It's great to have that interaction and connection with people, but it's good to know when to close the deal, and that's something I need to work on.
I'm the world's worst salesman. I can be. I don't know. It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
I could never be a car salesman or something like that, or something where you have to close the deal.
Yeah.
It'd be like, no, it's all right. Have a couple more
Yeah,
days.
yeah.
No, you're fine. It's like, oh, you don't want it? Okay, no problem. But you can imagine that for you, the sponsorship side of things and the financial side of running any of these superbike teams along here, but we're talking to you for Lee Hardy Racing, it's a constant, it's the biggest part of going racing, I suppose, because without them, you can't.
And I'd say it's probably the most stressful part as well. Everything else I'm in control of. I'm in control of preparing the bike at the workshop between the rounds. I like doing that. I'm an engineer by trade. I work for the MOD. I work with the Royal Air Force. That's my role. And to be fair, if I can't produce engineering professionalism at the level I'm at with the job I have, then something's wrong. So I enjoy that side of it. I'm in control of that side of it. The parts side, I'm in control of. Having the engines refreshed, obviously we work closely with MSS Performance, and Jeb does a fantastic job there, looking after me, should I say, and he does look after me. He is a great bloke, and Nick Morgan likewise as well. They are a real good advocate for the team. So everything else, logistics, I'm in control of. Andrew from Mother Hubbard's, he lives close to the workshop and looks after the workshop side, and he's always there. He helps me load, he helps me unload, and he's, again, without him, I couldn't operate in terms of doing that, and he's great from that side. And he'll be running around taking parts to places, dropping engines off, bringing the bike here, picking the bike up and stuff. So that side is all in control. That is all in control. And like I say, the stressful side is, are the people going to pay on time? What if they can't pay on time? And it's no good being angry with the people if they can't pay on time. There's probably a reason why they can't pay on time, and everyone tends to think, oh, they haven't paid on time, oh no, what's going to happen there, why haven't they paid on time? So it's being able to manage that expectation, and it's being able to work with that as well. And the way we are with the world, like I say, you haven't got that big sponsor who just gives you a big check at the start of it and you can budget control it. Some people may have, but Lee Hardy Racing, as we're talking now, doesn't have that. So people pay increments throughout the year, and like I say, you need to manage that. But that is the most stressful part for me. Knowing when it's coming, how it's coming, is it coming? And like I say, I do find that very hard. And I think probably the mood swings that you'll see do tend to come from that as well. Because, I'm an honest guy, I'm a friendly guy, but it does affect me. And then when it does affect me, I do get a little bit, you get the roller coaster and you think, oh, and probably I shouldn't, but you need to, like I am human and you vent it in different ways. So, but for me, yeah, definitely that's the most stressful part.
On the flip side of that, what's the best part of running your own superbike team? I'm going to finish that bit on a positive.
Is it a positive? With all the stress, yeah.
Why do you do what you do, Lee?
Getting home on a Monday. No, it's, for me, having raced and never racing at this level. I raced at club level, and I was successful for my background. I did a few track days, and then someone went, oh, why don't you go do a bit of racing? It'll be far more cheaper than coming and doing track days. So, like an idiot, I went, yeah, I'll go do a bit of racing. And I enjoyed it for the time I did it. And it would have been fantastic to have been that person who could have gone further. But I was at the wrong age. I was just doing it because I enjoyed it and I wanted to be part of motorsport. And motorsport was a big thing in my upbringing, probably more four wheels than two to start with. And the reason I do it, let's get to the question. Yeah, the reason I do it...
You're buying yourself time.
is the enjoyment. And it's the enjoyment to see at this point, being Bradley Perie, what he gets from it, you know, being able to see them small wins that we said, getting into Q2, getting a faster lap time, getting further up the grid, getting further in the results. That's why I do it. It's fantastic to see what he can achieve. And likewise in the past, you know, you touch on, obviously, like we did earlier, the Jake Dixon thing. I still talk with him a lot now, and I probably couldn't read you the message that I sent him after the last Grand Prix in India, and I felt he was hard done to. But we've got a lot of history, so I'm going to feel passionate about it. Of course. But to see where he is now, and to think that he rode for us, he went from BSB straight to Moto2, and what he's achieved there is phenomenal. And that still gives me a kick now, you know. And likewise with Ryan getting the podiums, that's why you do it. You want to see them progress. You want to win championships, of course. We came very close.
Yeah.
You know, that year in 18, we was knocking on the door. And yes, was it any easier? No, it wasn't any easier. Was it any less stressful? No, it wasn't any less stressful. Was it more enjoyable? It was enjoyable in a different way because of the success that you're having. But it's still enjoyable today with the progression that you're getting. So it's a weird love. It's almost a drug. It's the fix. Do you know what I mean? And it is the fix of, you do it because you just think, what's going to happen next week? What's going to happen when we get a Brands? You know, could this happen? Could that happen? And it's the excitement of where we're going to go with it. So it's definitely an adrenaline. It's definitely a drug. It's a buzz of being a part of, and it's part of a show at the end of the day, isn't it? We are just a big show. We put on this show for the crowd to come enjoy it, and we're part of it. And Lee Hardy Racing has been here a long while now. You've got your own fan base, your own following, and it's good for that. It's good to, you know, for people to pop by the garage. Hello, Lee. Hello, Brad. Hello. You know, shake your hand, speak to your team. You see it on pit walk. So that is the kicks. That is the drug. Putting on the show and being able to be part of it.
Fabulous. Thank you, Lee.
No problem.
We've done well. That's 36 minutes. Normally, as it gets to about 15 or 20, and then we drag out the big questions. And then we drag out the big questions. I never expected this to go dry, mate. I know you well enough for that. There was never a chance of this one going dry, was there?
Thanks.
Not a chance. That was a positive, by the way. That was a positive. Make sure you lift that microphone back up again, mate, if you don't mind. That's all right. You end up talking like that, and I have to play with the sound then. So you're just causing me work. Right. You listen to the podcast, which I'm very grateful for. Thank you very much. And you know what's coming next with the questions. So now all these people you've listened to over the last couple of weeks, and you go, what did they get? What's he answered that like that for? Now it's your turn.
Thank you.
You didn't think I wasn't going to let you get away with these, do you?
Well, I did, to be fair. I thought I've
did
done
you
well
really?
here.
You're padding out that half an hour thinking he's not going to have time. Wrong. Give me a number between 1 and 27.
12.
That's a popular one, 12.
It's my old race number.
What's the one thing that people are generally surprised to find out about you? I can see it in his eyes. He's looking at me going, twat. Because he's getting these questions.
My age.
That's fair. How old are you?
46. Hard paper round.
That's racing. That's what it does. That's sponsorship right there.
That's the stress.
That's sponsorship right there. Give me another one.
6.
Describe yourself in 3 words.
Can I make it 2?
No. The question says, describe yourself in 3 words.
Popular. Charismatic.
Here we go.
Fun.
Excellent. Popular, charismatic, and fun. I love that. Pick another one.
17.
Now, sometimes I think I need to reword this question because it has 2 meanings. What's the best trip you've ever been on?
Well, to be fair, I've never done anything like that. So
what's
that's a boring one, really.
No, but it is the other way that it's meant. What's the best
trip I've ever
Yeah,
been
I
on?
can't think of another word for it. It just has 2. Best adventure you've been on, yeah.
Journey,
yeah. Not go just use trip, but it has two connotations.
Well, I'd probably say the 2018 championship, to be fair. Yeah, I probably would. Winning the team award against some of the teams that we were competing against was a fantastic thing for us. And it's something that elevated Lee Hardy Racing to where we are now. That wasn't all my own doing. I'd like to think that, I could go and sit here and say, I did all of that. I didn't do all of that. We had a great team around us. We had some really influential people. Big thanks to Glenn Richards. Hopefully he's the other side of the world in Australia listening to this, and little tip of the cap to him. He did a great job with the team that year. Fantastic. Taught me a lot. Did teach me a lot, and we had some great times and some great fun. And obviously Tim Seed, who's now with Yamaha, we had a great year. He'd come from being, can I say, sacked from Yamaha? I don't know, or left Yamaha, should we say? Worked with us. He had a point to prove. Tim had a point to prove, and it obviously worked because he's back there now. So they realised, I think we probably let the wrong person go. So we had a great year. The mechanics, Simon, Bear, everyone that was involved in it. Sponsors, the Air Force, Andrew. Everyone that was part of that. It was an amazing journey. And is it a journey you'd want to go on again? Yes. If the bus stopped here today and said, get on, we're going again, you would go again. My accountant probably wouldn't say, get on the bus. He would probably say, maybe let's calculate this one properly. And like I say, it was a journey. When you're on it, trip, journey, whatever you want to call, we didn't get off. You got on and there was no getting off. We probably spent more than, I know we spent more than we had in sponsorship in budget, but when you're on that journey, nothing's stopping. And we went on the journey together, and we got off the journey at the other end. Wasn't successful in terms of where we felt we could have been, and potentially, don't say it, Lee. But anyway, we had a fantastic journey.
Say it.
We know where we finished. We know what we achieved that year, and like I say, the rider went on to greater and bigger and better things, and that was probably the best journey I've ever been on, with the people that I was on it with as well, the friends, the sponsors. It was fantastic. Couldn't. I don't think you'd ever repeat that. I'd like to think we could, but I don't know if you ever will repeat the people that we had there and the laughs we had along the way. It was incredible. That would be another hour talking about things like that. But
we can do this again. Don't you worry. We can do this again. This is
phenomenal.
not your only appearance. It's not always the journey's only part of it. It's the people that make it.
Yeah.
And in that case, in that instance, what a group of people to do it with. We have the last section is 1 to 30. So give me a number, 1 to 30.
27.
Why do people pick the same? It's almost the same as the racing numbers almost.
Really?
Because Tommy Hill we spoke to Tommy last night, and they're almost the same numbers.
Really?
This is crazy. What's your strongest opinion on something that isn't really that important?
It's a weird question. I don't know, to be fair. My strongest opinion on something that isn't really important.
Basically, what pisses you off when it's not really in the grand scheme of things that important?
Oh, wow.
We spoke to Tom Boulamos at Brands, and here's his airport queues, because he goes through airport queues 2 or 3 times a week,
that, yeah.
And so that's the thing. And Tommy's was trying to pull out of a junction.
Why? Is he not very good at clutch control?
But no, people won't let him out.
Bless him. How does he get anywhere in life?
He lives down south, doesn't he? So
True.
Hello to all our southern viewers and listeners.
Yeah, we like you.
You're the great people.
Please don't turn off. For me, this is something, right? And this is, I hope my wife listens to this podcast. Probably the wife leaving cupboard doors open. That is probably the biggest thing. And to be fair, it's like someone's been hit by a train. I've probably overreacted in such a way that the cupboard door's been left open, that it's almost like some sort of massive disaster in the world, where it's not really. It's just a cupboard door that's left open. And I have a tendency to walk around behind her, shutting the cupboard doors and making stupid comments like, oh, you're going back in that cupboard, when I know damn well she isn't.
It's all right, I'll shut it for you.
So probably leaving cupboard doors open, which is just like in the grand scheme of life, the smallest thing, but probably the biggest thing I overreact to.
Not such a difficult question, is it?
No, when you think about it.
Pick another one.
5.
This is one I like, and I've asked this of a few now.
Oh, this will be hard then.
No, it won't. No, it won't. You're in the car.
Yeah.
You're on your own.
Yeah.
Turned up to 11. What are you listening to?
Nothing. That shocked you, didn't it?
There's always one.
Nothing. I did a trip in the lorry from Swaffham, from the workshop, to Knockhill. Didn't have the radio on once. Just sat, and that's my thinking time. When I'm driving the truck, there's no music on. Sometimes, when like I said earlier, the podcast
Might be a
on.
podcast or two on. Yeah. Thank you.
But I must admit, I did the whole trip from Swaffham to Knockhill. Nothing.
That takes some doing. That's fair. It's solitude, isn't it?
Yeah, and like I say, perhaps I'm weird. Perhaps I like my own company. I don't know, but it's the time when I can reflect and time when I can think.
Yeah, because there's no
distraction.
no distractions or anything.
No.
So it does work both ways.
Only Tommy Hill trying to pull out in front of me. Bless him. I would flash him out.
That's the thing. That's his issue. Nobody flashes him out.
Oh.
Nobody flashes him out. Like, do you know, I used to be Tommy Hill.
Yeah. Perhaps he needs a cushion to sit on or something so they can see him.
Last one. Pick a last number.
18.
If you could have an unlimited supply of something, what would it be?
Money.
Weirdly, nobody said that yet, have they? Nobody said that one yet.
Really?
Yeah. Tommy's was Haribo's in the fridge because he said that number as well. There's something in this because that's 5 out of 6 numbers that Tommy picked last night. Genuinely.
Perhaps we're related. I don't know.
And we all are somewhere down the line,
true.
aren't we?
Yeah.
That's far too deep. That's way too deep when we go down that road. I've got to say, Lee, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Dave.
What an absolute pleasure. I wish you all the very best for the rest of the season. Let's do this again in the spring.
Yep.
When you've had the winter to reflect on things and we go into the 2024 season. It's been fascinating watching Brad's progress this year. And you do need to understand how this series works to see just how good the rookies have done this year.
Yeah.
And Brad's well within the rookies. I know the spotlight's been on Max and it's been on Charlie, but Brad's done his own thing under your tutelage and he's made great progress this year. For the next 6 races, touch wood, that progress will continue and we wish you all the very best to the end of 2023.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, Lee. Thanks, mate.
Cheers, Dave.